last night I was going to talk about this before I went to bed, but unfortunately I fell asleep, so I couldn't really do it. But I want to talk about this, kind of do my own little triple threat, if you will, kind of, you know, homage, if you will, to the OTRS Central. Because, you know, two of these things they talked about yesterday in the triple threat, in this weekly Sunday triple threat. And one of them they did not. So let's talk about the one they did not talk about. Let's start off with that one. And that is Dolph Ziggler's world title reign. And how long will it last? Well, I don't think it's no secret that WWE is very high on Dolph Ziggler. And they have been planning for his moment last Monday night on Raw in front of what Marvelous Mark called a smart Mark crowd. That, you know, it was obvious they had it planned, like I said, despite, you know, as Marvelous Mark on OTRS put it being a smart Mark crowd, they had it planned for Ziggler to cash in. Now the thing is, now that he's world champion, and now that he's done that, here's the question. How long will he be champion? Now, again, like I said, WWE behind the scenes is very high on him. They've been waiting for this moment they've been waiting for that moment on Raw to give him the championship. Yep. And, you know, the reason basically they had him lose a lot was to, well, basically lose a lot to the people that he did, is to make him look like a vulnerable champion. And what that means is have him probably down the line face the people he's lost to and then somehow beat them. Kind of do like what The Miz did. Okay, The Miz would lose to the likes of Randy, John, you know, and whoever else he faced down the line, he would lose to them. But when he's champion, he would be vulnerable, but find a way to win. You know, like he found a way to win against Randy. He found a way to win against Cena, and against whoever else he faced. So that's exactly what they're doing with Ziggler. They're basically saying, okay, here's our most talented guy. Here's our guy that's going to be, you know, probably one of the next big names in our company. You know, let's make him our world champion, but let's make him a vulnerable world champion. So just when you think he's going to lose, he wins. Because you got to remember, the timing for AJ and Big E was perfect. You got to think to yourself, okay, why would they turn AJ heel and side with Ziggler? It couldn't just be because of Cena or anything else. Mainly because perhaps they just want to embrace the crazy side of her character, which obviously people were fans of and still are. But also, you got to ask yourself, well, why the following day after did they start having Big E Langston get associated with him? What was the point behind that? The point behind that, ladies and gentlemen, was the starting stages to him cashing in. Sure, they teased it a couple of times. It did not happen, but it finally happened last Monday. And here's why. Because if you're going to have him cash in on a vulnerable Alberto Del Rio, become champion without any assistance, then carry that strap for who knows how long, and basically, as it's being described by WWE, by the skin of his teeth, possibly retain over all those people that have beaten him, then you know, what better way for him to be your champion than to be a champion that when you think you have him, you don't. It's like, okay, you could end up, it's like we've seen with several of the matches. It's like if you're a challenger, you could end up on the floor going after Ziggler. Next thing you know, you'll run into a Mack truck named Big E. You get knocked down, thrown back in the ring, zigzag, that's it. End of story, right? Now, I'm pretty sure down the line they're going to come up with something where Booker T or whoever's in charge is going to say, Big E and AJ are banned from ringside, you're on your own. Eventually it's got to come down to that too. So, anyway, the question is how long is it going to last in this state as the vulnerable world champion? How long is he going to last? Well, personally, I'd like to see him carry that championship just as long as he did Money in the Bank. He held Money in the Bank from July of last year. You know, so that's July, August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April. 10 months! 10 months he held that belt, man. That's a long time. I mean, not that belt, but just about almost 10 months. About 9.5 months, just a few weeks shy of 10 months. He held that. So almost nearly 10 months, about 9.5 weeks. I mean, 9 1/10 months, if you will. 9 9/10 months that he held that briefcase. So basically 9.5 to nearly 10 weeks, to very close to 10 months as carrying that Money in the Bank briefcase. So, what does that mean for his reign here? Well, since he held the briefcase for nearly 10 months, just around exactly 9.5 months, I would like to see him at least carry the world title for that long. I'd like to see him hold it from now, which is April. Hold on for a second, let me check my time here. Okay, I check my time because I only have a 15-minute time limit on this channel. But like I said, I would like to see him hold on to it from now, which is April, May next month, June, July, August, September, October, November, December, January. I'd like to see him at least hold it to maybe Survivor Series at most and Royal Rumble 2014 at the latest. But knowing how WWE works, that may not happen. So, almost on a realistic standpoint, I'd have to say you got 3 pay-per-views as a more realistic chance of him dropping. And that's Money in the Bank, where he won the briefcase, SummerSlam, and Night of Champions. It's to be one of those. And if it's sooner, I'd be totally surprised. And I know a lot of the YWC, IWC would not be happy if it was a lot sooner than that. But a more realistic standpoint would be either those 3 that I just mentioned, Bank, SummerSlam, or Night of Champions. More realistic. At the most, but again, at the most, I would hope it would be to Survivor Series, and at the very most, at the very latest, I would hope it'd be. I hope it'd be at the Royal Rumble. I hope it'd be till the Royal Rumble of next year, but we just have to wait and see. We just have to wait and see. Now, but I would like to know what you guys think on that. Now, the other thing that they talked about is Fandango. Now, I will admit, the Fandangoing as it's being dubbed really has caught on. And I can understand why people like the OTRS group are happy for Johnny Curtis. I could totally get behind that. And I can understand why other members of the IWC and YWC are behind it. But I can also understand why there are certain people like Brad of the Brad Rules channel and several others that are not behind it. And here's why. Here's why there are those that are behind it. And why those like Brad are not behind it. You see, Brad, he looks at this as just being as though this guy hasn't really done anything, and the fact that basically the IWC and YWC are being a bunch of hypocrites. You know, it's like, okay, at first we didn't like him. He didn't show much in the ring. He wasn't even worth mentioning. He wasn't worth getting behind. And now all of a sudden, just because of what that crowd did on Raw, all of a sudden we're supposed to buy him as a viable, you know, superstar. We're supposed to get behind the guy. Well, you know, and apparently what he's looking at is the same thing a lot of people are looking at. That right now the Fandagoing is just a phase. It's like the yes phase for Daniel Bryan, you know, was caused by Daniel Bryan. It's basically a phase. A phase that apparently, in my opinion, people like OTRS Central and some others of the YWC and IWC would hope it would become, and that is the catalyst to start a new era that would get them out of the PG era. That's right. They basically, by doing this whole Fandagoing thing, if you will, by doing this whole Fandagoing thing, they're hoping that's going to catch on, and basically it'll be that catalyst that wakes the WWE up and makes the WWE wake up and go like, oh, you know what? The fans want this instead of what we're giving them. So let's give them this. You kind of get the idea? I'm just saying. But yeah, it is a phase. There's no doubt about it. But it's a phase that, just like with the yes chants, and heck, even with Austin's what chances, is a phase that people go through because they want to get behind somebody they feel could be that catalyst, could be that key to getting them out of this PG era. And speaking of which, that leads me into the next thing. That leads me into this next one, the PG era. You know, WWE being out of touch with the fan base. I'm not going to deny what Mike said there. Everybody from Mike Rout to just about anybody else has pretty much said that the WWE is out of touch with their fan base, and it's true. You look at John Cena. Yeah, I'm a fan of John Cena. I respect John Cena. I'm not going to deny that, but I do understand that there's a majority of fans that hate the guy's guts because pretty much he's being shoved down their throats night in and night out. And I totally get that. And I totally get why people want him to turn heel. Because they figure if he's the face of the company, if he turns heel, the WWE's got to turn as well. So I can understand that. And I can understand, you know, why, as Mike said, you know, instead of letting the fans be heard, let's say at a SmackDown taping with, you know, instead of letting them be heard for like cheering Ziggler or, you know, for cheering someone like Dolph Ziggler or booing even a babyface like Randy Orton or Sheamus, that instead, you know, WWE goes and edits those out and places what they feel is necessary. So yeah, I totally understand. I mean, it's like with CM Punk. CM Punk's supposed to be one of your badass heels, but yet, despite what he did to The Undertaker, fans still cheered him. Despite what he did to John Cena, Rock, fans still cheered him. To Ryback, fans still cheered him. Why? Because they don't want to boo this guy. They don't want to boo him, and also the fact that they still feel he's one of the key elements, one of the keys and elements to get them out of that PG era. But that's the whole point why the WWE's out of touch, as some people put it. It's because they got all of this stuff going on that's solidifying them as part of this PG era. And I'm checking my time here. They got a lot of this stuff that basically backs them into this PG era. This PG era, which a lot of people are pissed off about. They got all these advertisements, all these product endorsements and stuff like that. And you think they're going to want to chance all that? You think they're going to want to get rid of all that? Hell no, they're not going to want to get rid of that. They're not going to want to chance all that. Hold on.